Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode 3 of the Audi TT Mark 1 build. So as you remember, we bought this car, absolute bargain, littered with issues on the last MOT, complete failure in last October, issues with brake lines, issues with headlights, just in a state of general disrepair. So the car had been abandoned for the best part of 4 months and I managed to get it as a trade out deal with a dealer over in Birmingham. Got it for a steal, £999. So we done a lot of work previously in the last 2 episodes, as you'll probably know if you've got this far. If you haven't, then I'll link them up in the top. Go watch episode 1 and episode 2. So time to get it off for MOT. So I'm just going to go pick it up now and whiz it down to the MOT station and see how we get on. So we're here at the MOT centre. Let's see if she passes. So we're looking good so far. The car's just gone off for its road brake test because it's 4-wheel drive. They can't do it on the actual MOT testing rig. So he's put a gyrometer in and he's gone to test the brakes. So fingers crossed, hopefully that should be a pass when he comes back. So just on the way back from MOT, that's not good. Got a warning light on. And if I try and boost it, hits boost cut straight away. So I'd say we've probably got a split in one of our hoses on the turbo system somewhere. We've got a vacuum leak or something. Might be an intercooler pipe or charge pipe, or even the elbow that comes off the main charge pipe into the turbo. So I'm gonna have to look into that. So we've just landed back from the MOT, so let's have a look at the result. Clean, pass, no advisories. Well chuffed with that. The only thing he did say, which he wasn't going to advise, is a slight blow on the exhaust, but we're going to deal with that going forwards anyway. So really happy we can now get it out on the road. Now the only thing that I've found at the minute is I've got an ABS light on, which isn't on at the minute. I need to sort out, find out what's kicking that off. It might be a bit of air in the system, so I'll get the diag out and have a look. And then I'm also getting an intermittent flashing engine management light as well when I'm on boost, which I think is to do with the potential boost leak, because it's boost cutting like anything. As soon as I hit the throttle, it starts to boost cut. So as you can see by the Carista scan that I've just done, it's thrown up an intermittent misfire on cylinder 2. I've cleared the codes, I've gone a quick drive, I can't get it to replicate the problem. I think that only clicked in once I'd kind of hit high boost. I was going down through the lanes, giving it some beans, and really the engine really started to flutter and stutter. It really struggled. And then I had the engine management light click on and off intermittently, kind of flicking on and off, which I've not seen before. So I don't think it is. I thought to start off with it might be coil packs. I thought it might be something to do with the spark plugs, but I don't want to jump in and start replacing parts for the sake of it. I think first we need to investigate any potential boost leaks. I think if it's a big enough boost leak, then that can cause the engine to misfire. So let's get the bonnet open, let's start having a look. I've also ordered the stuff to fit a boost gauge, which is going on the A-pillar. So we'll get that fitted as well, because that'll give me an idea of what's actually going on with the PSI and when it's dropping the pressure, at what point it's dropping the pressure. So we've had some goodies arrive. We've got a boost gauge pod, which will go onto the A-pillar. We have the actual gauge itself, which isn't lit up at the minute. You can see that's from -30 up to +35, which is more than what we need. I've bought a separate blue vacuum hose, 4mm, that goes straight onto the nipple on the back of the valve. And we have some wires. So, as per form, the black one's for ground, the yellow one is live. So we need to feed these, remove the A-pillar cover, feed these down behind the dash. These need to go to the fuse box, and we're going to piggyback a switched live off the ignition and find a ground for that cable. And then this hose needs to go through the bulkhead into the engine bay, and we'll tap in to where the vacuum line goes into the fuel pressure regulator. Okay, so that's how our boost gauge is going to sit, obviously straight. What I need to do is get the heat gun on this plastic enclosure and just mould it a little bit more to the A-pillar, which should be easy enough to do. So we've got that A-pillar cover removed. It just literally pulls off. You have to be careful with the clips. There's some metal clips that go into these fittings here. 1, 2, 3, then it clips in down the A-pillar down there, and that'll give us obviously plenty of room to get in down the back of the dash. So I've got the cover off, and one thing I have noticed though is it seems to have, is it? It's like a solid ABS reinforcement running down it, so I need to make sure where I mount the gauge isn't going to interfere with any of them clips. So I'm going to go and get a hole drilled in this, and I'll be back in a second. So we're back in my messy workshop. I've marked roughly where I need the hole for the pipes and cables from the gauge, and I've drilled that out with a step bit. Now what I'm going to do is, there's a little bit of loose material, so I'm going to peel this material back, and I've got some contact trim adhesive. I've got this left over from when I've done my T6 lining. So I'm going to peel this back, spray it all down, re-stretch the material back over so it just looks a little bit neater. That's all the material re-stretched out. There are some glue marks on it, don't worry about them. They will hit up with some brake clean once it's dry, and that'll just rub straight off. So now we can go get this refitted with a gauge. Okay, so we've got that set through there. We've got the cables and the vac hose coming through, and we've bent that pod to sit better on there using the heat gun. So what I need to do now is extend these cables here, which I'll solder them and heat shrink them, and then make sure we've got enough to get through the dash down into the fuse board. Let's go get it refitted. The cables are run down the side of the dash. We've dropped the knee part of the dash off. Both cables come through. I've fed the boost pipe through under the steering column. Now I need to find a route down behind the dash through, drop this out, and then go through the grommet in the firewall here and down to the fuel pressure regulator. I've put the live cable through into the fuse box, which we're going to use this pigtail for. And then the negative, or the ground, is through here. And we're going to try and get onto the ground on the terminals just down there. We can't really see it, it's a bit dark probably. Past that bracket there, there's a ground, and then there's a switch live. But for this instance, because I want it fused, we're coming off the fuse board in the side. So we've got the piggyback fuse into a 5 amp, and I've put a 5 amp fuse in for the line as well. If we look in here, you'll see I've run the red wire to that earth point there, to that ground. And then we've got to feed that blue pipe down behind the dash somehow. I'm trying to find a gap to get that through. So that's just connected in. So if I turn the ignition on, let's see if we get, there we go. Perfect. Now we've just got to connect up the vac line. Right, so we've stripped the glove box out, and to do that there was 2 screws there, and then there was 3 across the bottom, no, 3 across the top, sorry, and one in the bottom right hand corner, which screws into there. We've ran the vac line underneath the dash there. We passed it right through behind the heater vent at the back, up behind this, well, up and over this bit at the back here. You have to go over that, then up through behind the cabling. If you see up into there, the little grommet that we pushed aside, that's just behind the pollen filter in the engine bay. So if I take you through around here, So what I've got to do now is try and pop this waterfall cover off, try and get this vac hose through the grommet in the actual firewall, and then try and feed it out the bottom, under the inlet, down past the puck. If we lift this up here, you see the fuel pressure regulator there, we need to tap into this vacuum hose here. And to do that, we've got to remove the strut brace. So I'm going to drop these off. I hope we can get the cover off. Right, we're all connected up. So we've come through that waterfall tray. I've just notched a bit out the side there to bring the tube out without squashing it. Onto the intake, straight in, and we've teed it straight in to the fuel pressure regulator. I will put some zip ties around these just to give them a bit more surety. So that's all connected up. We've now got to bang the strut brace back on and the engine cover, and we'll give it a start and see if we've got pressure. We've got the strut brace refitted, we're up and running. We're all connected in. If we go and take a quick look at the gauge, we should be showing negative pressure, hopefully. Pretty stable pressure as well. So there we go, we're sitting at about minus 12, 13. And if we give this, it's not warm yet, it's not going to rev it too much, but give us a little blip, see it going up. So hopefully that's a success. Obviously we've got an airbag warning because we've got the glove box out, we've disconnected some of the cables. Get that reconnected. Now, I've had a look at the N249 and I can't see any cracks or any splits in any of the pipework, although sometimes it's hard to tell. But if you look down into that spaghetti mess down there, I get you a good view on it. I think the PCV, sorry over here, is absolutely caked in oil though. So I think that's our culprit for our vacuum loss. I had a suspicion it might be. So guys, now we've got a boost gauge installed, we can actually do some proper diagnostic and on-road testing now to see if we're getting the levels that we should be expecting. I referred to it as negative, that's just the way I refer to the boost gauge. I always have done. But in essence, when the figure is below 0, it's measured in Hg, which effectively is barometric pressure, right? So it's the pressure or the vacuum that's being created on the intake manifold. So typically that's between 14 to 22. I've seen some higher, like the Astra VXRs and stuff. I've seen them tick over about 30 because they're huge on pressure. So yeah, I think we're in the realms of relative normality. I think we're running around about 12, 13 at the minute. So it does signify a bit of a boost leak for me. But anyway, in the next episode, we're going to tackle all that pipework underneath the intake manifolds, all the PCV system. I'm not a fan of PCVs. I've had loads of issues with them in the past. I've also had issues with deleting them on a Zafira GSI. Big mistake. Driving along, plumes of smoke. People thought the car was on fire. Not good. Anyway, really pleased to pass the MOT. That's a massive hurdle considering it was littered with advisories all over the place. I think we've done great to get it through with a clean, no advisory MOT. So really, really happy about that. Thank you for watching, guys. Hope you found it useful. As I say, next time we'll be tackling that PCV system and tackling and trying to find out what this vacuum leak is, and getting this turbo to boost properly. So catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Cheers, guys. Bye.